spinning up. Hey, well, look at that. It looks like we're finally live. Probably won't talk about it tomorrow on Wise and Nerdy. But did you ever get tired of being tired? Like you're frustrated. Like right now, my studio, I'm on my crappy camera because my good camera is in the house in the case, and it's been there for like 3 weeks, and I just haven't carried it out here to set it up, which would take 5 minutes. But I don't do it until every night I come in and do a studio. Whenever I come to do a show, I'm like, well, I don't feel like doing it now. I hate that.
So we've got the crappy camera. I brought the good camera upstairs here.
Yeah, you got a good camera. I got the
upstairs
how
room.
wide it out. Yeah, I've got a decent camera that usually sits right behind. I think I took it traveling with. Yeah, it's been sitting in my house for 3 weeks instead of the 15 yards it takes to get to the studio out in the backyard and set it up. But I'm just frustrated myself.
I am jealous that you have a backyard studio, though.
Yeah, I am jealous that I have a backyard studio too. It's something I've wanted for a while, and when we moved into this house, the house is smaller than what we had before, but the yard is bigger and more usable. So there was already a barn. There's actually were a number of storage sheds and whatnot from the previous owner. We kept one, the rest we trashed. And then we built these little 8 foot by 8 foot square barns for the kids because their rooms are so cramped. There's basically beds and sleeping. That's it. Hey, here comes T Ray.
Hi.
There we go.
Hello.
It's a night.
Yeah.
Hi, Kevin. We haven't met before.
Hello, Tyra. It's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So as my wife built out the barns for the kids, she'd set aside some, and basically my brother-in-law built it. You know, we didn't have to hire anybody. It was really cool. And so yeah, he ended up building me a 12 foot by 16 foot by 20 feet, I think is the peak of the roof, with storage above me, and then drywalled in. So yeah, almost 20 years digital media, finally got a nice studio.
Hot damn. Yeah, like the closest thing I have to a studio is whatever part of my house my kids are least likely to be allowed in.
I hear you. All right. Well,
my kids may bark.
Okay.
Mine too, but you know, they're still kids.
Yeah.
So now that I've joined you, I have to go away for a minute. So I'll be right back, but feel free to start without me and I'll just pop back in.
We'll get
I'm
started.
so sorry. It's a day.
You're fine. Get out of here. Get out of here. Bye. Get out of here. All right, everybody. I am Charles McFall, director of the digital media track at DragonCon. And with me tonight is Kevin. I always want to put a MC in front of it. It's Kevin Cafferty, but I keep wanting to call you Mick Cafferty.
Well, I think the Caffertys, when we originally came over on whichever boat we came over, were McCaffertys and dropped the Mick to as part to try and assimilate, but I don't think it was that successful. I think people still know which part of the old world we came from.
that was the things that in hindsight are so dumb. So dumb. No, you're no longer Lachlan, you're Smith. Like what?
This will fool them. We'll drop the Mick.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. Anyway, that's not what we call to talk about. We are building community with DragonCon, and you brought up there were roughly at the halfway point.
I think we're a little bit over halfway to con, Charles. This is stuff's getting real.
Well, yeah. I have spent. So the schedule, I know you're gonna ask some stuff, but I've got the first half roughly done. And Kaz, who was there in the chat room, she is helping transfer that to a spreadsheet. So we do it on Trello. So I'm a very visual guy. So I set up a board and I moved the cards around digitally and then say, okay, I think we're good for the first draft. Of course, first draft. I think our record. Now you're talking about minor changes towards the end, but our record was maybe 2 years ago where we got to version 10 of the scheduled draft on spreadsheet for everybody to look at. So yeah, we got draft 1 just about done, and she's getting that put on. So while she's putting it on a spreadsheet, I'm moving it over to the actual database for DragonCon. I've gotten through halfway Saturday, putting it into the database. there, there's still some wiggle room and stuff, but it's there. So what questions? You said you've got some burning questions.
I don't know if they're burning questions, but I was just curious, what sort of stuff are you excited about in this draft schedule? Like what's coming up that you're like, this is going to be awesome?
I'm gonna pull it up on the other screen to remind myself. Now I will say I finally get to announce. Technically, we announced it last week on Wise and Nerdy because we had him on as a guest for that show. But we have our first actual honest to God guest. So attending pros, right, are people who come in, and the pros get a 5-day pass and get listed on the website and in the app, right? And you're expected to do 4 to 5 panels throughout the weekend, depending on how many days you're there. And we know that's the higher level creator type of deal does that. The guests usually get a little bit more. They get the passes, but they might get a flight or a hotel room, but they really get featured in the list as opposed to attending pros. And they tend to have they still have to do the panels, but they tend to bring a certain level of weight with them to the track. And this year is our first guest that we went after and got because we've had Welcome to Night Vale would be guest level. But they come to us, like they come to the con and say, hey, we want to come. The con handles everything, and it's digital media by name, pretty much only. But we got Daniel Stoner Gump Gossard is going to be coming in this year. And his name is Stoner Gump. He's going to be talking about not broccoli, but also how he built over a 1 million fan following on TikTok while talking about a conversation that you cannot have on digital media. So I'm very excited. He does skits and fun.
That is fantastic. I remember the first year, last year was the first year I was invited to be an attending pro at DragonCon, and my wife still makes fun of me because I got the email from programming and I went like, ooh, and she still mocks me, but I was so excited. And I'm really excited to be an attending pro this year as well. And I always look at it like the guests are the people that someone would theoretically go to DragonCon to see. Like, no one is going to DragonCon to see me, but the hope is that if I'm part of a piece of programming, I'm if someone spends their time at that piece of programming, that whatever I bring to it will make that time well spent for that person. So I feel like no one's going to be like, oh, Kevin Cafferty or McCafferty is going to be at this thing. But hopefully if I'm involved with a piece of programming, it's a good experience for that person.
Yes.
I'm not here.
Oh,
should I remove you again? But I'm not here.
Okay. I remember it again. Tyra. It's Tyra, everybody. It's Tinkerbell at her best.
She's like the wind.
She breaks off and but no, exactly. And the first time I got attending pro, I was very excited as well. And I get to the con, and this was 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. So they still had the full book before they went to the app. And so I get the book, and I'm in my first panel, sitting on the front row, waiting for the panel to start. And, it's a kickoff on Friday morning, whatever it is. I'm flipping through the book, and I was so excited. There I am. And I take a picture, and I post it on Instagram. And a few minutes later, my wife texts me, he's like, they misspelled your name. Like, what? And sure enough, it was McAll or something, and I just missed it. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm so happy.
Charles McPhail.
Yeah.
Oh.
Kevin, we might have to reject your attending pro status, sir. So do you know? Now, let me ask you this from the attending pro side, right? When you did your application, what did you apply under?
In terms of I think when I'm applying for attending pro, I'm like, well, what are the things that I get paid to do? So in my working life, I work in video production. I'm a creative director for a multinational corporation, and I do corporate branding. So I applied really in that realm in sort of video creation.
All right.
Yeah.
What Charles?
I said you two talk. You said corporate branding. She's like, ooh, she got so happy. All right, I'll get out of your way.
Yeah.
So that microphone closer.
So I applied under the video rubric. There, I do podcasting on the side, but I do that as a hobby and something that I think is fun to put out in the world. I'm not getting, unless I'm doing podcasting for a corporate client, Like my personal podcasts are not something I.
And when you get your acceptance letter, it doesn't say, "Hey, you're a get or you're an attending pro of this track," right?
Nope.
No,
It just says you're. Yeah, that's something I actually brought up at a directors meeting. It's like, look, because apparently I was the only one who asked this. Everybody else going, "Yeah, no, that's a great idea." I was like, "Hey, I know some of the names. I get to vet some of the names, right? Like Tyra, I think applied the first time you applied, Tyra. Maybe you're a pro before. I don't remember. But for example,
No,
let's say
it was
Tyra
through you.
applies and a con, huh?
It was through you.
Okay.
I mean, you were the one who gave me my first rubber stamp.
You're welcome.
But I get it on there
yes,
now.
everything sounds great. So
Okay.
I get okay, Tyra, and I can look at, or I know Tyra. So I go, yeah, I know where our user owns some things. So say yes. And now I made a list myself. So okay, I've approved Tyra, I've approved Kevin, I've approved
Right.
blah 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 blah. So because I have to make, well, part of my job is to make sure that I give you as many panels as I can if I'm approving you up to 4 or 5. Now some
Right.
people, and now you go into a big database. That's why you have a long bio and a short bio. The short bio goes in the app. The long bio is what we search keywords for to go, oh man. And I think that's how I actually found you last year. You said you were attending pro, and I was looking for film. Didn't I have you on a panel about directing or filming or something like that?
I submitted a panel last year about kind of getting started in video, which
Okay,
and it wound
gotcha.
up and that wound up getting approved, and I found some panelists. The panelists were great. I
Gotcha.
think all of them. And it was good because like a lot of what I do is very kind of traditional documentary style filmmaking.
That was it. Yep.
And I think a lot of people who through your track are interested in video are more interested in kind of like either streaming like this or TikTok. And so we had a nice mix of people who do YouTube and people who do
Exactly.
Twitch and people who do TikTok. So it was great to be able to answer questions from all sides of what people are looking for.
And that was the goal. That's why it was last year, man. So much has happened, but I do
I don't
remember
last year.
that vagueness. But so that now you reminded me, it's exactly. I didn't remember that you submitted the panel, but had somebody else that said, "Hey, I want to do something about editing video or shooting video." I will go in and look at editors or video, something with those keywords, and then your bio will pop up and go, documentary videos, this video, that video, and then we can go, oh hey, and then I basically put it into the track, and then the con sends you a list of, hey, here's the proposed ones, or if there's a conflict in times, they'll send you, hey, pick one.
Yep.
And then you can say yes or no, more or less. But so if I approve you, I know you're on my list. If I don't approve you, I don't know whose track you are. And so that was the thing I brought up to the con. Like, is there a way to get one that says you on your side of the head honcho saying yes? You go, okay, yes, they would work on the digital media track. Yes, they will work on the costuming track. Can I get a list of those names? Because inevitably each year we have attending pros come to the con and they don't get any panels, or they might get one panel because perhaps people didn't search diligently enough, or the keywords didn't pop up, or whatever happened. And I'll get an email each year with at least one person on it going, hey, this, and Regina sends it out, says this person would have worked on your track, why didn't you use them? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I search all my keywords, I do everything. I don't know why they didn't get any panels. I don't know who this is. So there's always refinement, and they're always doing better there.
It's May 31st is the cutoff for apps.
I know last year I did panels for I think 7 different tracks. So I definitely felt like I had a lot of love to give. Like I was really getting around because there was a documentary film panel on the film track.
Oh, nice.
And I don't know anyone on the film track, but I was tapped for that. And that panel.
I liked the film track. I got on it last year too. I really enjoyed them.
Yeah, it was really fun. I remember the AC was out in the room, so that was not so great. But it was
not my day.
It was a fun discussion. I had not been. That was my only panel in the Hyatt too. For the entire time.
See, I took the wrong route. I think I started doing panels, and then I jumped to the director, and now I don't get to do panels anywhere else.
You do get to do panels
anywhere else. I mean, I do panels in our track, but I want to go to a Hyatt. I want to be on a panel in the West End. Yeah.
You know what you don't want?
I want to panel.
You don't want to be in a panel in the West End and have to get to the Sheraton.
Oh yeah, well there's that.
That's me on that one. Yeah. Or the Hilton. The Hilton's really. I'm sorry, there is no more Sheraton. There's just the Corgi.
Yes.
The Corgi. I want to be on a panel in the 3,000 person room talking to a celebrity, but no, apparently I make too much content for our track and I'm busy.
You've been
I didn't say that. I got told that. Like, don't tell me I'm busy. I'll make it happen.
Hoisted on your own petard, Charles.
Yeah.
You're a victim of your own success.
Uh,
But it's such a nice vibe though in the basement of the Hilton where you guys are at though. It's fun to hang out there.
That's because we make it awesome, man. If we got moved to a different hotel, it'd be a great vibe there too, because we are the vibe. We should make that poster this year, Tyra. We are the vibe.
Ooh, we are.
But hang it on the outside wall where people are walking by. Yeah, everybody else just follows us. Well, Kevin, you'd asked what I'm excited about. So Thursday,
Oh yeah.
we are still working on the details. So this is just a hopeful thing. But last year we did Wednesdays are our DragonCon party. And so it's a DragonCon official party, but it's the night before the con started, off property. And the party went well, but the charity effect that we wanted to have didn't go as well as we wanted. But the con themselves were like, hey, would you bring it on the property? So we're hammering out those details, but we're hoping to have on property Thursday night kickoff drag party. It's a blast, and I'm excited about that. I'm also excited just in general looking over my schedule here. Lots of new creators and lots of new ideas and some new live shows have submitted this year, and I'm excited to see new faces and see new content and see what works and what doesn't.
Oh, that's going to be great. And like in your experience, what makes for a really successful bit of programming in your track?
Oh man, that's a great. Tyra, you want to take that
one? Sure, I'll take that one. I think first off, sometimes niche panels work really better than we think, because those are panels that people are seeking out for. So when they have one, they're like, oh, let's go to that. I think the other type of programming we do really well with is mental health was a big thing this last time. Imposter syndrome, talking about the things that prevent us, the fears that we have. Those were huge panels this last year. I think also when I first started on the digital media track panels, I would be the only girl there. And now I'm not. And there's more diversity in our panel. And I think that's something that really helps to bring in more people every year. And what did you just pop up on the screen?
I'm going to pop it back up. So
pop it back up. I can't read and talk. I'm blonde.
Look, sis, you just
whatever.
Chill. All right. No more sass out of you. I got this.
Really?
No, not really. Don't hurt me.
Charles.
Don't hurt me.
Kevin, he's put you in the middle of us, probably for good reason. So feel free to moderate.
Mom, Dad, don't fight.
Let's go back to brother sister.
Well, we're close to Alabama. If we just call it cousins, it's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I mentioned drag at DragonCon, and Sarah Rose said something that I didn't know was a thing. So please educate me, Sarah. I'm one of the mods for drag at DragonCon. Go on. What are you talking about? Drag at DragonCon.
Yeah.
Is it one of these little side? Because that's something I'd like to know more about.
Should get that in.
Because I know.
I want makeup tutorials. Is what I really want.
Apparently, it's a Facebook group. According to Sarah in the chat.
Do you know there's a Swifties of DragonCon?
Get me in there. Get me in there, Sarah.
I can't say I'm shocked that there's a Swifties of DragonCon.
I just found it. I'm a Chiefs fan, so now I'm a Swiftie.
I won't take you off this broadcast. You stop. But
hey, I'll talk football. Yeah. Let's go.
A few years ago, they were, I think, part of the costuming tracks guest list, but we had one of the big season of RuPaul's Drag Race, one of the drag queens there did a panel or two on the digital media track, and it was about inclusivity or seeing yourself in digital media. And it was really awesome. Last year we had the drag party beforehand. This year we'll have the drag party, hopefully, like I said, on property as well.
Thursday is the first day.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. We already have on Thursday. We are scheduled for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not counting the party because I haven't put it quite on the schedule yet because we're still hammering out details, but 5 panels on Thursday.
Do we have comedy for a cause?
We do.
Okay.
We still have to work out how that's going to
Yeah,
work.
we don't
but
know
we
what
got
we're
it.
doing. It's only
Um,
April. We're fine.
It's
Yeah.
a cornucopia of stuff to do at DragonCon.
It
Well,
is.
Sarah, consider it
Oh my
one
gosh.
major step forward to the digital media track because we got a big drag show. Again,
gonna-
working it out the details, but I'm confident it's going to come through. Otherwise, I wouldn't talk about it.
I'm going to go find it. I'm going to go look at the Facebook group.
You do that. So for everybody who's used to Friday being the first day and the kickoff being at 10, that does not exist anymore.
No.
Thursday at 5:30 p.m. is the kickoff for the track. And then the other stuff starts behind that. So come Friday morning, we're in full swing, 2 rooms, 2 panels, go mode.
Who's moving in on Wednesday into their hotels?
I'm a Thursday morning fly-in.
All right. We used to be, but
Yeah.
we're doing Wednesday this year, and my bestie's staying through Monday. So we're going to swap storing luggage.
All
So
right.
do you have a Wednesday event this year? Because I know you did the drag last year. But
No, it was all right. It was fine. But I would prefer Thursday because people are like you fly in the morning. I imagine most people come in aren't looking like they don't plan ahead. Go, oh, I'm going to this panel. They go, let me walk around and see what's going on, and then boom, you come by the Hilton. Oh well, I don't know. I'm assuming we'll be at because that's where we are in the basement. So I'm assuming we'll be up.
We
in
like
the
our
ballrooms.
basement.
We have no. I mean, but the Marriott's the party hotel, so we might be in the Marriott. Who knows? But you come by whatever ballroom we're partying in, and you go, oh, what's this? And you come in and have a good time, which is going to be more effective that way.
I'm trying to convince them we should do Wednesday night live someplace.
She is trying to convince me that. We'll see.
Because I'm crazy.
I'm get people out. I'm usually, you know what, Tyra? You can come. We can do like carpool karaoke, but not karaoke.
Yeah, we can't do karaoke.
Usually shuttle starting Wednesday afternoon. I'm usually like picking up botched from the airport, taking them to their Airbnb.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Then hanging out there a little bit, going to do something else. Then I pick up Jeff Burns. I usually pick him up at the airport, take him to his hotel. Then I think, Hugh, my buddy Hugh comes in at like 9:30. So I'm usually doing airport runs that day. So maybe
you should do something. I'll go live in the middle of the hotel.
Here's my Thursday night idea that I'm going to share with you because I think I'm DJing Thursday night in MTV tribute to 120 Minutes party.
All right, hold on a second.
We're going to play like New Order songs and Depeche Mode.
I need live DJs for. We haven't set this up. It'll be next year. So no, you keep Thursday night up for next year, Kevin. I need some live DJs to work with the mixes that the queens want to dance to, and have a live DJ mixes and let some fun music can be in between when they're coming in and out. Those kind of things. How dare you hide this from us? Go to some other year.
Here is my plan for that. I am going to put signs up outside the bunny hutch and say, hey, can't get into the bunny hutch? Come to this thing.
Not Tyra.
Absolutely.
We got to do that too.
Did you see what Sarah said in the chat on Facebook?
What did
classic?
I have no power, Sarah. She only he has power.
Yeah, she said yes.
Tuesday is the new Thursday, and she's going to hook us up. And I just found them on Facebook.
Okay.
And I know a good DJ in town.
As weird as I get about, I mean, yes, I'm all open to reality. This is not reality. This is like, wouldn't this be fun? I want to get Shaq. I want to get Shaq to come DJ the drag party. Put him in a big purple wig. Oh, come on.
No, he loves to DJ.
I know he's a great DJ.
He says it's the closest thing to playing ball. It's why so many athletes start doing DJing is because that crowd hype is the closest they can get to that. He was talking to Jason Kelsey about it. A football player from the Philadelphia Eagles.
My Lord. You in this sports ball. Stop.
No.
One of the new pieces of content coming. I've got, oddly enough, this year, this happens. Every year, there's some people who come up with a new idea and it resonates like through the universe or whatever. So somebody else also submits something similar, but they're usually close enough or different enough with different enough people that we can do two. And this year's we're shooting for that. We have one about leveraging your social media, leveraging your podcasting, digital media skills for real life success.
Oh, that's awesome.
But the first one was submitted by this creator, Alan Z from Alan Z Music. So I don't know Alan. So
I don't know Alan either.
Excited to see. new face, new ideas, new
Mhm.
presentations. And then Rob Roberts did the other one, so it's slightly, there's just slightly different tones for both of them. Like, cool, we'll separate them, but they're gonna work for non. So when you ask what works, it's hard to say to get through, but I get these, I just kind of pick up on the vibes, I pick up on the thought processes. And like that one, it's two of the similar panels, but we separated them by a day in between, and they're just enough different from each other that it'll draw a different crowd or have different answers. And for me, that's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for, if we're going to do 60 panels, let's make them as different as we can, even on the same topic, just to hit somebody somewhere.
I think that's
I'm already tired.
And there's so much going on at con that maybe if someone can't make one of them, they can make the other one.
Yeah.
So I
This
am
year's
surprised.
theme.
What is
What are
this
you
year's thing?
surprised by?
I'm not surprised of how many of us in digital media are also marketers of one form or another.
I'm not. I'm on
No.
TikTok going,
No,
I
you're
need
not.
a manager, not a manager, you're the manager. I need a publicist or a bookie or something. Somebody to call the places on my behalf.
You need a pimp is what you need.
You need an executive assistant, it seems like.
I need an executive assistant.
Right. Somebody that I'm trying to get more into the live action world of going to cons, doing panels, doing shows, speaking, hosting, whatever. And yeah, man, it's a lot to just cold call. And so only cherry pick the ones I think I could really get into that are local drive or something. But man, if I could get somebody who knew how to sell, I'm sure, at least in my professional life of EMS, I could get EMS conferences to fly me out. Fan cons, like you were saying, Kevin, it's like, well, I mean, as cool as I think I am, nobody's going to think, well, okay, Charles is going to fill a 3,000 person room just on his name. I'm not yet. But so, yeah, if I get to guest status where I can get, hey, no, look, I got 1 million followers on TikTok, 100 of them will come, 1,000 of them will come, something like that will help. What else?
What is our theme this year? You were going to say it and then I interrupted you because that's my favorite thing to do.
So suddenly the unspoken theme is ADHD squirrel, because that's how we always operate. The promoted theme is community. Yes. That actually, except Tyra and I were talking about this the other day, and she said, I need a theme. Like, you know what? Because we were talking about community, different things. So that's pretty much it. Be awesome together, I think is how we're gonna
be awesome together.
I was just, but I told her,
you know what? There's going to be an ADH squirrel on all the media. Just you wait. We're gonna have a contest to name him.
Design, yeah, I think.
I like it.
That's branding right there.
Yeah, and I don't have a hook for this year.
What would be the corporate spin on that, there, Kevin?
Well, Charles, we would leverage cross-functional stakeholders.
I love you so much, and I just met you. Don't tell my husband.
So, for me, there always is a theme, but for me, honestly, people have asked. Most don't listen to the answer because it's hard to grasp. But you ever watch like Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency?
I've read the book. I have not.
Okay, you're familiar. Yeah. I haven't read the book. The show was phenomenal. It was really, really good. But it's that concept of holistic that I'm like, oh, that's how I operate creatively, is I just kind of vibe it out and go, this makes sense. Some of it I know, like I know Botched, I know what they do on Sunday night. I know Jeff Burns and what he's, so I have some anchors in there that I know this is going to work. And the rest of it is like, that just kind of feels right. Let me throw it in. And then if you in turn bring it, like, your panel, I didn't know you at the time. I'm like, but this vibes, this sounds like something that people could glean from. And like you said, we ultimately, I think you probably did most of it, crafted a variety of panelists that then were able to take this ball of information that is filming and give all kind of angles at it.
That was the idea behind it. And I wanted, like Tyra said, I wanted a diverse set of panelists. I didn't want to just be people who looked like me. And it was really successful. It wound up being mostly Q&A. It wound up sort of like, I asked a couple questions, and then it was just the audience was kind of driving the discussion in terms of like what would be most helpful for them in getting started. And I really liked that aspect of it. We had done a video panel the year before, and I think we had something like 7 panelists, and that By the time we got through introductions, I felt like the panel was half over.
Time to go.
Yeah. Thank you for coming, everyone. But this one we had 4 panels, and I thought it wound up working really well.
That's awesome. And I know different people have taken swings at how to be a good moderator, how to be a good panelist. I personally would like to. I don't know how to do it because my time is valuable and I'm very busy, so I'd have to charge, but I'd feel bad charging for it. So I can't line those two things up. I'd love to do one of. You talked about, I felt like half the panel's over, because as a moderator, you do learn as you practice. It's Poppy show, and you find those inserts and you just cut people off and nicely, and you make them laugh, and it's tough. Now, Sarah, this is almost always the underlying theme. Secretly, theater should be. It's the what is
We're
the whole world is your
performers.
theater, Sarah. So the whole track is your theater.
All the cons a stage.
That's a quote. There you go.
That's good. I like that.
I wish we could sell T-shirts, because we could sell so many great T-shirts with all the different artists, and then people like yourself just whipping off one-liners like that.
I so want
to get some badge ribbons for charity.
We do need to get oh crap, that's on my list. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we can give away T-shirts all day long, and that at some point, if we can get a certain level of sponsorship,
we need sponsors.
Sure,
if you're out here, we need mics, not just mine.
I've been on camera now. I'm trying to get 2 sponsors for my personal media. Aweo is one. They make all my jerseys.
They should do something for you.
And then CAO. I love my CAO's Flathead Cigars. So I'm like, hey, I got this cup from them. I'll just pretend like I'm accidentally showing off their logo. Wow.
Product placement. We're all over it.
Sarah says I've already copyrighted that, Kevin. Wow. The whole concert stage.
I think probably trademark, but copyright takes a long time.
It would be trademark. You can't copyright titles. So.
Yes.
Burn.
This is marketing speak. Sarah's one of the people who runs the unofficial DragonCon theater and performing arts enthusiast group. Her and Gary Mitchell.
That's a bad name. I like DragonCon Theater Kids. That was a great name.
They really are.
That's a good name too. Yeah.
Well, she actually said that. She said that to me at some point, just in quick passing. The DragonCon Theater Kids. I'm like, well, that's what I know by now. Thanks. Yeah.
Although, I guess I'm loosely affiliated with them. Although I've never considered myself a theater kid. I like theater, but I don't.
I did musicals in high school.
Can you imagine? I was a tech guy for theater. Yeah. I did some front of stage stuff. I hated the makeup part of, not because I don't like makeup, but my first, Sarah, you'll love this story. My first theater experience, I was between 8 and 11. I don't quite remember. It's a community theater for kids, family theater kind of thing. And I was homeschooled, so I got to not have to get out of school to go to these practices and stuff and all that. It was a Winnie the Pooh story, and I was cast as Eeyore. And I had some costume. I had this makeup, full face makeup on, this and another. Nobody taught me how to take makeup off. So we did 3 nights and then 2 shows on Saturday. By Friday night, I was just wiping it off. My skin's raw and burning. So by Saturday, I could have won a Tony Award for the performance I got, or whatever it is for theater. I think whatever. I was like, delivering my lines, just like I was miserable.
You were Eeyore.
I was. It really just. And I was looking over at the people pulling the curtains, going, "I wish I was you." But that was, educational. But yeah, here's some more community, just holistic community vibey stuff. Last minute, we got an awesome attending pro, Jinxie Rose, came on, and trying to remember, she did 2 or 3 panels for us and did some real awesome stuff. And this is what I love to see: somebody who comes in as an attending pro, and then they start adding their own ideas. One of the ones that we're trying to do, surviving the con with social anxiety and neurodivergence.
Oh, that's a good one.
Very, very specific to the moment, which I like, because it's
not enough CBD in the world to get through it, but we will.
One of my favorite panels, hold room for lunch for volunteers. That was always great.
That was a great panel.
I feel like closed for cleanings played out now.
Well, no, we actually had food.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put out the friends of the track. We don't really turn anybody away, but I will tell you, if you show up and get in line, food runs out, it runs out. But we last year we started. My wife came in and we started making some hot meals for lunch and dinner for the volunteers and any other attending pros or parents. Like, hey, there's food over
And
there.
my
There's
husband.
coffee first thing in the morning. Yeah, we have coffee
Yeah.
first thing in the morning. So
And
yes,
it's great.
Wow.
I mean, we had water and beverages. It was always a nice place to go. So
Has
closed for
anyone
lunch.
showed up thinking they had found the con suite?
no.
Okay.
Actually, it was the opposite. It was like I
Yeah.
run, and obviously it wasn't you, Kevin. Maybe somebody. Oh, hey, Kevin, you know what? Look, come on in. We got some food. Oh man, I just ate. I'm good. We got that constantly. I just ate. I'm good. We had food left over, and every time my wife would just go around the con and hand out, hey, y'all want this? You want this? You want, until she was out, and then we cooked the next meal or whatever. That was her favorite part. Was Sunday night. We had way too much left over between all the fixings and everything. And she loaded up a wagon. We had this pull behind wagon and was over there outside of Galleria 7 and just feeding all the drunkies. And the drunks were just all over it. And it was good. They're like, lasagna in a bag. I don't even need a fork. Oh, just eating it. It was so good.
She fed a lot of kids. It was good.
Yeah. Imposter Getting Over Yourself is coming back this year.
Oh, good.
This is something else I love. I've been trying to build this for a while. Faber pulled it off first. Come bring your celebrations to DragonCon. I've been trying to get Brian Ibbett to bring a special Coverville edition. It just it falls on like 1,208, so it's not like a big milestone. So it's, but I'm like, hey, next the world's, what is it, America's next greatest top podcaster. I said, bring the finale to DragonCon. Let's plan that out. And it's just been difficult. Last year, Faber brought the 10th anniversary
A year before. He took last year off, and he's taking this year off.
Yeah, of the ESO network.
Yeah, the ESO network.
And actually, our Station 1 is on hiatus right now.
Yeah, but I think the network's still.
Yeah, the network's still good. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, because the DragonCon report, I think, is going.
Yes, the DragonCon reports through them. And Channing is finally an attending pro. Let's all
way to go, Channing.
Way to go, Channing. Use those keywords.
And my friend Kevin Eldridge hosts the Flopcast for the ESO.
Oh, network. I love the Flopcast.
Yeah, and he's the one who was like, I had been going to DragonCon circa like 2009, 2010, and I stopped for a few years because I had like young children. I had twins, and it was just I was not doing anything. And Kevin was the one who was like, you got to come back. You got to come back to DragonCon a few years ago, and I'm so glad I did. It's been so much fun the past few years.
It was so fun. I was on a Wonder Woman panel with him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. The most recent episode of my newer podcast, The Best Stuff in the World, has Kevin Eldridge on it. We talk about Watchmen. The comic book maxi series. So the idea behind that podcast is each episode tackles a different, like, really awesome thing. And
what's it called? Cool. The best
stuff in the world.
I'm trying to, if you would drop a link, that would be good, but I'm trying to find you a link. Let's see. Are you on, here, I found the Apple link. That'll work.
Okay.
Do you have a website? Websites are good. People should have websites.
I have a website for my other podcast, Gleaming the Tube, and I link to it from that. So gleamingthetube.net is the website for my podcast about our attempt to discuss every movie that has a scene where someone rides a skateboard. And that one I've been doing for a few years. And this is sort of the sister show. And I haven't launched the website for this one yet. I have the domains bought.
Okay, good.
That's
the first important part.
Yeah, we're about 3 or 4 episodes in, and I'm just sort of like, do I need a website for this? Can I just use the site here and have the domain go? Yeah, I know.
I always tell. That's my biggest thing. I have to tell authors, because I do a lot with writers, and I'm like, please buy a website for the love of all that's holy.
So it's in staging right now. I'm trying to avoid spending the Squarespace budget.
Oh, Squarespace is expensive.
Yes.
Are you good with Squarespace? Because if so, I may have some questions for you, because my niece is having issues.
I'm okay with Squarespace. I don't know if I'm great with it, but I'm not good enough with websites in general to code a website from scratch.
Oh God, no. I use Weebly because I'm even worse than Squarespace.
Mhm.
I need plug and play.
Yes.
I believe CharlesMcFall.com is on Squarespace.
It
I
is.
know 1EMS just went to Squarespace because of Google. And you would think, you would think the issues I have with Google hosting being that they try to run my card every month and goes, decline,
yeah.
doesn't work. So I go and go, pay it with the card. Decline to go, no, really, pay it. Oh, yeah, no, it's good, man. Every month. I thought, cool. That's surely going to go away. No, guess who still bills me even though it goes through Squarespace? It's still Google.
Yeah.
But it's all right. But
They're just screwed.
yeah, it's fine. So what got you into wanting to be an attending pro at
Ooh.
DragonCon?
I had done some panels at DragonCon leading up to it. And one of the things was because I work with different tracks, scheduling was a nightmare because you don't like different tracks put out their draft schedules at different times. I got to hand it to the digital media track. You guys get yours out like that. And so it was hard to navigate like what I was going to do when. And part of it is honestly like getting that email in the beginning of August with, here's your schedule and here's what's going on. And you don't get double booked. So that's been really nice. Part of it was just, I like seeing my name on the website. And I also like talking about the things I'm passionate about and sharing that with other people. So it's helpful to get on programming items if you have that, because it's easier, I think, to schedule as a director as well. So I think that was what caused me to apply. And I think like a lot of people, I applied for a couple of years and was told like not right now. But I also think when you have gone for a few years and you've shown up to things and people have been like, okay, this person is not a jabroni and they can be on a panel and not have it be a disaster. I think maybe that helps.
Yeah.
I think the first year I did a panel with your track, Charles, I was not an attending pro, but
What panel was that?
It was, I did two that year. I think I did a panel called Telling Stories with Video on your track, and which I moderated, which I had pitched to you. And then I was on a panel that Steph Cordnola did about sort of
cutting room floor or something like that. Yeah.
Which was more of sort of like a hands-on video editing, podcast editing panel. Those are the first two I did with digital media a few years ago.
Yeah.
When I was not an attending pro, but I was an attending person who did some stuff.
That's what I tell people. I had 4 or 5 people at DragonCon last year where I'm, sitting at the door saying, no, you can't come in type of deal. And someone goes, hey, how do I get on a panel or how do I submit a panel? And we had the QR code. So I was like, hey, scan this, get into our Discord. But the biggest thing is, hey, come out to, connectivity, con creators, whatever we call this thing on Wednesday nights with DragonCon, and come do a takeover. First get in our Discord, then say, I want to do a takeover so I can see your work. I can see your participation, how you do it. Otherwise, just get into the Discord. And when somebody like Kevin goes, hey, this is my panel, I'm looking for who wants to be a panelist? Boom, you raise your hand, you contact them, you let them know, and we just make that connection. You have to put in at least that little bit of work, because otherwise it is then just left up to, hey, this has been my track. Really. Yeah. You go to the con, introduce yourself to the track director, to the volunteers, whatever. You stand up in the middle of a thing and ask a good question. You basically kind of take the hard road to make a mark, which is, as far as I know, how you get on any other track in DragonCon. You just kind of show up, introduce yourself, ask some good questions, or tell them, hey, here's what I can bring to you, and let me hound you. I just took the hounding out, right? Go to Discord. You don't have to go through me. You can talk directly to the moderators, and they love that. I mean, was your process, Kevin, last year? You got the panel. How was the process for you? First year, first time putting together that kind of panel through us. How'd that work for you?
In terms of sourcing panelists? I mean, luckily on the digital media track Discord, there is a as you know, there's a sub channel for need a panelist, and I put out the call because I didn't have people I necessarily knew who could be on the panel, but I also knew your track well enough to know that there would be people who would be interested in doing it and who like would have the requisite skills. So, people emailed me and they said, "Oh, I'm free then and I do this." And it worked out really well because, as I mentioned, it was people from different walks of life in the video world. It was streaming, it was TikTok. I think the woman who was on, who was a book talk author, she had like 2 million followers on TikTok, which was beyond my wildest dreams for that panel. But it was, and having her perspective as someone who had decided to become a professional TikTok creator and then had decided that it was not worth the hassle and she was just going to get a job and do TikTok for fun. I thought that was really interesting.
That
I could see that.
is my favorite part of all of this. Of I'll give you a shot. It feels good to try, and I hope you bring something awesome to the table. And then you hear a story like that, or you find yourself sitting next to somebody you recognize, and you realize you're sitting shoulder to shoulder with somebody that you've been a fan of, and y'all are doing this together. Those kind of things. I love that come together. And one of our most controversial, yet my favorite panel we ever did, we had Bill Fairchild, who was Run Jump Stomp, and he did some other podcasts then, and an old friend of mine, Jonathan Oakes, who does Trivial Warfare, and two diversely opposing views on how Patreon should work. Jonathan was all for, don't do less than $5. I got this many people. You value yourself, do this, this, and this, and we're doing this. And Bill was like, everything's $1. Like, he did 4 different podcasts. You pay him $1, you got the Patreon for each podcast. Like the early access, all this other stuff. And just it on the surface, it was like controversy. And I'm like, go boys, go, because they weren't mean, they weren't yelling or ugly, but they were definitely very strong in their opinions. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. It's a discussion, because you're going to split that room evenly, where this side resonates with the $5, this side resonates with the one, but everybody gets a path walking out of this door.
So I want to know who made more money.
They ultimately made about the same. I think Jonathan made with his audience. He pushed it. He really was that salesman of, here's what I mean. To be truthful, he was making enough, and he had a good job as well, but he was making enough doing it that part of his promotion of jump in to my Patreon and you'll be a part of a drawing, he was giving away like Nintendo Switches every 3 months or 4 months. So he ended up having the higher numbers, which I think put him over a little more than Bill, but both of them had solid communities and solid income. And Bill's whole thing was, he's a school teacher. I love teaching. I don't ever want to quit my day job for this. So me as community. And it just, honestly, at the end of the day, nobody gave a crap about how much money they made, because they ultimately were building communities that they loved.
Yeah, honestly, with my podcast stuff, because I'm doing creative work for essentially, a client or someone else in my day job, it is nice to have something that can be whatever I like, can be exactly what I want it to be. That it's kind of really not answerable to anyone.
I understand that.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, ultimately, are we ever not answerable? Like, period? Because you got to have income somehow. So you got to make sure your audience is connecting. But yeah, I like the idea of being able to say, nah, I'm gonna pass on that one. We'll rest instead of going, I gotta keep working my shows, and I gotta keep working my brain, I gotta keep working my day job, and I gotta keep working my family, and my family's doing some podcasting stuff on their, separate from me, but so like I'm working it for them. And I'd love to be able to go, now this is I create, that's what I do. So every twice a month I'm flying somewhere, talking to somebody, and I know I'm gonna pay my bills on that. So everything else is just cake. And let's go work with this creator and work with that creator. And
I find that with video, because I do a lot with video in my day job, and there was a period where I was mostly working on websites and I wasn't doing video. And like in my spare time, I made a documentary for PBS, and I was like, I guess I can't not do this.
That's awesome. Like, so what was the documentary on?
It was on punk rock music.
I would say it was called Murder in the Streets. It was about how Big Bird went nuts. True crime on PBS. How
Hey.
Big Bird went crazy.
Shame. Shame.
That's been my big goal for DragonCon is to
Cookie Monster laugh.
try and get more punk rock content at DragonCon.
Oh,
You know-
I know a lot of people would be into that.
Yeah.
We have a certain age group.
Yeah.
Charles, what you got short, Charles.
I did. I was showing off Cookie Monster, and then I'm like, I can't quite reach
I
the
love
camera, so I
this.
have to work.
I feel
Oh, wait.
tall.
Is that better?
No.
Hi, Tyra. How you doing? I like you so much.
I feel like I'm wearing lifts.
I know.
I can't win. You felt good. Now you feel bad.
We put Charles at the children's table.
That's where the best conversations are had.
Sometimes.
So Tyra,
Yes, sir.
what was it like for you putting together your first panel?
Oh. So I think for me, the first year I kind of figured out I could do it, and the second year was better. Like the first year I could moderate and it wasn't a problem, but to not be afraid to say, let's move on, or, wrap this up, or get the conversation back, which I was glad of, because this last year in one of the panels, we were expecting some issues to happen, and they didn't, but they were potential, and I knew how to handle it if it did happen. But that first time it was a little starstrucky. I had, I was doing a be our guest panel, and it had the young lady
Yeah.
from Babylon. No, not Babylon 5. What was she from? Farscape.
Oh yeah. That was you and Gigi.
And Burns was on it, and I
Jeff
dragged Tony
Burns.
on it just in case
Yeah.
I tanked and needed help. And she was awesome. She was completely wonderful. And that was the first time that I had done somebody whose name people would know. And then I did the Awesome Women when we had the McElroy wives on. So I felt much more comfortable walking into that one. So I think it just gives you after you do it the first time, after you get over the hump, you then kind of have the confidence to not be intimidated. And as a woman, when I sit on a lot of panels with all men, I do not know why this happens to me, but to be able to not be mansplained and to be able to be in my power and be able to move a conversation onward has been really fun. Like now I host the podcast for my college, and I think part of the reason why I can do that is because I got to do panels at DragonCon. Why were we putting squirrel?
So I don't know. So Kevin, mansplaining is when you sit down and you over explain a simple concept to somebody, so like they don't understand it. Just so you're on board there.
And once I thought somebody was mansplaining me, but they were also mansplaining Charles. So at least I felt better. I felt like
Oh
they
yeah,
were just people-splaining. So they were just they were just
stupid.
jerks.
Yeah, and it was a
wasn't
tech
because
thing.
I was a
It
woman.
like,
Yay!
yeah.
Charles, let me tell you about the digital media track.
They were trying to tell us.
But see, now that will never get mansplained because it is different to everybody who's involved in it. And I would love to hear what is your digital media track. Get on TikTok. # digital media track. My
I
digital
have a
media
following
track.
on TikTok. I just don't TikTok.
How'd you get a small? Small.
I have a small following. Just a
Smalling. I coined it now. It's a small following. A smalling.
A smalling. I
Small,
still want to know why
smallowing.
Cos said squirrel.
Small but mighty.
Oh well, I am 5'4".
Mm-hmm.
I understand getting a little nervous, like you get the energy. I get that.
Yeah.
I don't understand the worrying about it. Right? Like you were worried about being a moderator, Tyra, one of the first time, and then afterwards, like, I was, how was so good? I was like, yeah, I know. I mean, and it's easy to be confident for somebody else, but I remember my first panel at DragonCon, and I was nervous energy, like, oh, I'm on stage, that rock and roll kind of, whoa, let's go, and then we settle into the groove. But I never was like, should I be here? Like imposter syndrome. I only wish I understood it so I could help people with it, but I don't understand imposter
Yeah,
syndrome at
I
all.
totally get it. I mean, I
Yeah.
totally understand it, but I
Oh
felt
yeah.
pretty good on the first panel. You were my first panel, that SCOs panel, and I just was trying not to embarrass myself, and obviously I had to slip in the F word, which they didn't
Oh,
tell me I could not say.
we had the can that year, and the rule was if
No,
you
nobody
swear,
told
you
me I
put
couldn't
money in.
swear. I never knew about the before 10 PM thing. Then I did.
I guess I got lucky because the first time I moderated a panel at a convention was a moderator didn't show up for a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and I was friends with a couple of the
Oh,
panelists, and
Shut up.
they were like,
Awesome.
we need a moderator. You can do this. And so I wound up doing that, and I was like, well, if I could do that, then I could
you
probably
could
do it at
go.
other conventions. And I like my weirdest experience was at Rhode Island Comic-Con. I was supposed to interview Eliza Dushku on stage, the actress from Buffy the Vampire Slayer
Empire.
and
Yeah.
other stuff.
Mm.
And she showed up and she was like, I don't need a moderator. What are you doing here? And she had just been mugged, and that was
Oh, yeah.
a very like strange experience. But I kind of was like, well, look, I'm gonna intro you. I need to make sure that the questions are gonna be a certain way. I need to make sure that you get out of here on time. And so it wound up being fine, but that was kind of a real baptism by fire. And she wound up being like great on stage, but she had been having a bad day. Like someone had stolen her purse the night before. I
Uh,
felt really bad for her.
Yeah.
and then somebody maybe she didn't fully expect showed up and was like, ugh. I had a female actress right on the back fringe of hashtag me too
Mhm.
at a conference where we had 30 people in the audience who were there for her, early works and fans of hers and this and another. Fair enough. Went off on a rant, but went off from positive stories to talking about not even the stories, just kind of alluding to things, and I was like, I need to get you back on track. So I just and she came back around. It was fine, but that was one of those moments that gratefully we don't really have on the digital media track. I mean, DragonCon
Mm-mm.
tells stories. I mean, there's the whole 10 p.m. rule is free content, right?
Right.
Because it is becoming the age-old year in, year out question of what is inappropriate, because nowadays you can say things like damn and nobody cares, or ass and nobody cares. So what, and they're like, okay, there's always going to be a human element to figuring out as a moderator or as the director of the room to say this works and this doesn't. But
Right.
they will continually tell a story where I don't even know the context. They won't even tell that, which is great, but it was obviously not good, whatever the context was, where one of the guests was getting graphic about something or getting male chauvinist or aggressive, something not great. And the moderator looked around like, we're all adults, right? We're good. Okay, carry on. And it was like 2 in the afternoon. And that's their biggest things. Okay, after 10, we're supposed to make sure we card or at least go, hey, you can come in with a parent, but no, this is going to be a whole lot of dirty talk or blah, blah, blahs or whatever else is going on here.
We're gonna work blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I just want to say Scott Sigler on a panel is uncontrollable and loves the F word as much as I do.
Yeah, that
I
is
know.
Scott.
I'm like, okay, I can't tell him not to. It's not going to work.
And he tries. When
No,
you tell him not to, he tries. But it's what is that
it's just a
meme
part of his
on
DNA.
Yeah, what's that meme on social media? It's like, chances are slim you'll be killed by a kitten, but never zero. That's guys like they'll try, but it's never zero. Good, hey good, love, hey good. But that ADHD kicks in, and he'll try to go, he'll say it and go, oh, sorry. I mean, just he thought it came right out, and he tries, but that's the thing. It is a hard line, and that's something we do try to watch, because it's not anything before 10. You cannot be an adult, but you do have to read the room in certain situations. And like when Scott does it, and when Hey Good does it, or even when you, Kicker Bell, do it, it's very okay.
But I can make
You're
them
not
laugh about it.
Exactly. You're not aggressive. We're not
No,
ugly. We're not destroying things with it. Because
it's
there's
just an
different.
adjective.
Well, there's a difference in an adjective and going F you. You
Right.
know, that's
I
yeah.
mean, fuck it,
Or
Charles.
the verb of that word, you know? Um,
Yeah. I try and keep things PG-13 before
Yeah.
10.
I say
that's
sugar plum fairies.
always
If you ever
good.
hear me say that, what I really want to say is fuck.
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
know,
saying
whatever.
that's the
Yeah, no,
Tyra
I
code
got you.
word. That's what I say
Uh,
in class.
I got
I
in the habit too when I used to do a like a community radio show, which was like governed by the FCC, and I got in the habit
Yeah, they don't
of
like that.
abbreviating swear words and just going like, well, F that. And I will try and revert to that sometimes if I'm at DragonCon on a panel before
yeah.
10.
I saw a good meme that says, "If you ever hear me say silly goose, pat me on the back." So I really want to say it. It bleeped out
Yeah.
all the
Blah, blah,
words.
blah.
Yeah. Uh,
Beep.
you know, that's yeah, it is what it is, right? Um, you were just saying something before that made me think of something, Kevin. What did you say right before that?
Radio show, PG-13.
Oh, yeah. Yes. In Atlanta, I don't know if it made it out of Atlanta, but in Atlanta is a very famous story from the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. We had a talk show. Actually, I don't even remember what it's called anymore, to be honest with you. But it's one of these shock jock rock, and talking about what you're talking about. There was a period in time during the late 90s, early 2000s where the FCC was really cracking down hard on these things, and these were the kind of guys who are like the rebels, and they weren't going to take it. So during commercial, they had a corn producer. I don't know where we can say it. We had a porn star on it, but they were saying, okay, we're gonna talk dirty with her coming back next segment. And during the commercial break, they were recording it to then the bit was okay, everything was very graphic, everything was 4-letter words, but it's played backwards, was the bit. But somebody left the microphones on during the commercial break, and a good 30 seconds to a minute made it onto broadcast air. And that did not end very well with them.
Oh, delightful.
And that's kind of the guide I always give at DragonCon is like, why toe a line when you can just dive into the content? If you are that person, I mean, there's in different scenarios. I am that guy. I mean, it's very much a punctuation for me. But when I'm at DragonCon or any other con that's not specifically, hey, I can just say, I'll even moderate. So I moderated the adult panel that Phaedra does. We did it at Atlanta Comic Con. We didn't really know the guidelines, but my whole moderator self just kicked in. And while they talked graphically about some things, they danced around some things. I mean, they used a lot of 4-letter words, but they didn't get graphic about certain things. I just didn't at all. And of course, the audience was there for it, and it was a thing. But there's that mode. Just because other people are playing doesn't mean you have to either. And that's a interesting thing.
I've been pretty lucky when I've moderated in that I've never really had to shut a panelist down outside of just saying like, well, I'm gonna cut you off there because we got to talk about X, and I want to have this person talk. But have either of you ever dealt with like a panelist who is just completely off the rails and is kind of wrecking the panel for everyone else?
What about you, Tyra? I'm thinking.
I've had close to it because when you get a bunch of geeky men talking about, let's say, artificial intelligence, it can be because sometimes the concepts are so big, that's what makes it goes off the rails. And they're making really good points, but you're like, okay, I got to get this going again. Otherwise, I'm going to have them all asleep.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen. And I try to use humor because that's obviously what I do. Maybe it's not obvious. I'll have to think about that. But I'll use humor to try to get that going back again and see if I can reiterate a point and maybe get them driving forward. But yeah, I haven't had it happen where somebody just went off the cray cray. Thankfully, let's not have that happen. Where's some wood?
Now, I intentionally had one like that. We were doing the next moderator contest or something like that. Because I was like, I know 2 people besides myself that can moderate. I've got to open it up to new blood. So 2 years in a row, we did kind of a contest for people to show off their skills. And I met a lot of cool people that way. And they're still mostly involved with the track. But their set of panelists were given basic generic, okay, you're going to do yes, no answers. You're going to do everything but answer the question. You, without being super dirty, you're going to try to be a little dirty here. And the moderators, there's 4 of them. So the first moderator got sideswiped, but I had basically it was the Bad Boys of Frog Pants Network. Basically, where there was
It's like LARPing.
Sigler, Jury, man, I can't remember. I had 3 or 4 or 5, and I was on there as one. And so each moderator would come up and we'd swap who had what, the yes, no's, and the this and that. And when Jury had to do anything but answer the question, and the room was rolling. It was probably the loudest, funniest panel we ever did. But those poor moderators, they said, you should have just called Throw Us Under the Bus panel. It's like, yeah, well, welcome to the party. Y'all made it through. But no, I haven't had one be bad, just really go off. Well, now that I think about it, Jeff Burns and I had one kind of go off with when Super Geeked Up was in the small room. He had 2 people in. One was Mark Meir. Great, the voice of a bunch of game stuff. Mark Meir is a comedian / voiceover actor who does a lot of video games and whatnot. He's again a featured guest this year at DragonCon. He's been here many years. Really good at what he does. And then we had this other guy that was kind of new to it all. And I told Jeff, like, man, it worries me, man. You don't know this guy. He said, it'll be fine. And of course, part of Super Geeked Up is they get audience members to volunteer to come up. And in this particular skit, the 2 voiceover people were interpreting. So the 2 audience members had a made-up language. One was Elvish, the other, I forget what it was, but they were talking to each other in this made-up language, and the voiceover people were translating it, right? Kind of like Who's on This Anyway. And one of these girls was obviously young. This is a middle of the day panel, family-friendly panel, all this stuff. And one of these the female, because it has to be a guy and a girl, they're on a date. The guy was, I don't know, 30 something. The girl was definitely under 20. And we don't ask ages but you could tell she was under 20, between 15 and 20. And they're doing everything's funny. Everybody's laughing, things going well. And the new guy got to a point and didn't know how to be. He was doing okay with Mark Meir. He really was. But I guess he felt like he couldn't come up with a response back to something. So he said the line, he was talking for the guy. He said the line, I just want to know if I'm getting laid tonight. And the room just froze. And I'm in the back. This is like my second year as a director. I'm in the back. I'm like, I'm like, do I need to get up with? And the dad of the daughter stood up and went, hey, that's my daughter. And I forget what Mark Meir said, but Mark Meir said something and it killed. And he looked at Dad's like, I got you, man. I got you. Yeah. And the dad was like, thumbs up to Mark Meir. Was like, whew. And Jeff's like, all right, that's the end of this skit. It was towards the end of the show anyways. That was as close as we ever got. And the guy who said that line was like, yeah, you can't come back, man. If you can't read the room like that, I mean, and she ended up, oh, there goes Tyra. Bye, Tyra. But she ended up
here. I'm just hunting for the cat.
She was I think she ended up being like 15 or 16. It was like, dude, this is the middle of the day, family friendly. That was, I mean, I know what I interpreted you mean was, somebody go off talking crazy. And fortunately, no. And honestly, we haven't had anything like that since, I think part of it is just that lack of fear and putting down the energy of we are going to be right and this is what we do. We've had some moments where people argue or people ask a weird question from an audience. Last year with the AI panel, this one person, I still don't know who they are, wanted to be on it, but they're very,
I know who they were.
They had a very bad tone to everything they were doing in our Discord. And
we deep dived. I mean, I'm a social media
This is before
girl.
The panel, right?
Oh yeah, no, we deep dived on social media and found out he was a misogynist. There was no way.
There you go. Yeah, and so we're like, yeah. Well, and beyond that, I mean, it was obvious the way he was coming at it was very. I'm going to be controversial. And I'm going to make sure I take over this. I mean, he said something like that. I'm going to take over this panel. We're like, yeah, no, you can't be on it. He goes, well, I'll just show up and ask questions. And poor Scott, bless his heart. I love Scott Moore, but he took that literally. He's like, I'm going to have to watch it out for him. I'll take it. I was like, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. I promise you, he's not going to show up.
He did. He was in the room. I knew where he was.
Yeah. But
And I
what he
made
didn't do crap, did he?
no, because
Exactly.
girl was on her game, and I started questions on the other side and never looked him in
Yep.
the face.
And energy is a thing,
Mhm.
and intent is a thing. And I was like, yeah, no, we're gonna be fine. It'll be good.
Yeah, it can be hard. I remember a couple of years ago, a different it's coming.
Post it. Hi, Scott. Love you.
A different track had put me on a panel, and it was about progressive rock music, which I do not like. And I emailed the track director and was like, just so you know, like I hate this stuff, and I'm not sure you want me on this because I'm happy to talk about why I don't like it, and I'll do that respectfully. But maybe you don't want someone yucking someone's yum or whatever. So, but I wound up being on it, and it wound up going well. But I was nervous about it because I was like, well, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to pretend I like this stuff. But
Yeah. And I think that's one of the keys of a good entertainer and a good artist is I can say my opinion that's opposite of yours. I can say why I don't like this and own it versus taking away why you like it and say you can't like it. And those are some of the best conversations too that I've seen. And we don't have a lot of failures. It's just I know it's not what we talked about. We kind of slide into that. I was just thinking about the biggest failure we have as a track is not really a failure, but it's the failure to return. As you came in, you did a great panel, and then next year you just didn't submit a panel, and maybe you didn't make it back or whatever. It's like, it makes room for new blood, and I love that. But also go, well, you really did great last year. I was kind of hoping you'd come back.
yeah, I
Other
know.
than that,
I know for me, like I didn't submit a panel about video for the track this year because I was like, well, I've done it the last 2 years. I want to let other people do that and then take a year off. So because I don't want to do the same panels every year at DragonCon, I feel.
and that's the heart of DragonCon. We don't
Yeah.
want to do the same
Mm-mm.
anything. Now there are cornerstones. There's always going to be a sing along on the Brit track. At like 7 p.m. on Sundays.
Usually when I have a panel on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Like for us, every Sunday night until they say otherwise, Botched will be our last big hurrah on Sunday nights. And it's a big debauchery, Dungeons and Dragons type show. That's half party because the audience is definitely drinking, but half panel because they're doing their live show. It's a thing. And DragonCon even has told me, we'll get some of the same guests year to year, but we like to change it up. So if you come 1, 2, maybe 3 years, and I'm talking about like the big guys, the big names, the big people. When you come 1, 2, 3 times in a row, a lot of times we're kind of saying, no thanks this year, come back next. We're just always freshening it up, always changing it up. So you have your cornerstones and your anchors, but you also, and I just embrace that. I love that. I love the what's new, what's next, but also can I feel like I'm at home? Like until he says otherwise, Mark Gunn will always close out the digital media track Mondays.
I want to get him on here. That reminds me.
Yeah, we can do that. We can get him
I
in.
love Mark.
I'll call him and see when he's free.
I need Mark.
So what's funny is Mark and I are friends. We have a long history. He actually inadvertently named one of my shows that really pushed me into doing professional media through a roundabout way, and then found out my first year at DragonCon. I went, hey, so and so. I was like, yeah. It's like, you named my show. I'm the other half of Success. He's like, oh my god. And that's how we met face to face. He now lives in Atlanta with kids that are old enough to hang out with my kids. We never see each other. We've talked about, we'll do play dates. We just never see each other. So we're so different directions busy.
Mark is awesome though.
Let's see what Dark Blade says. Yeah, sometimes it comes down to difference between whether something is good and well done versus whether it was your personal taste.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Yeah, it's like the difference between bad and not for me.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. I mean, as much as Tyra has brought up tonight, Taylor Swift is good, and I'll bop along. I don't hate it when it comes on, but I don't care. I mean, she put out a new album, like good for her fans. I don't care, but I can say no. I can absolutely argumentatively say this is why structurally it's good, marketing it's good, song wise it's good. I just don't care.
It's okay. I do, and I've listened a lot, and there are 2 Travis songs. Just saying.
We would. I think when the
It's
bunny
so high
hutch falls
school,
away, it's just gonna be
Charles.
the Swifty hutch.
The
And
Swifty
you
hutch.
know,
I need to
if you
do.
did,
I'm putting in a class for next winter to teach marketing, mayhem, and magic. Taylor Swift in the NFL.
wow, that'd be cool.
It's gonna be
I mean,
yes.
not for me. I don't care, but it's objectively cool.
Only if
It's gonna
you
be fun.
start it by saying, "I'm the problem. Hi, it's me."
Oh yes.
uh,
Actually, I'm the
can,
archer.
I can get the references.
Yeah.
All right, all
Shake
right.
it
We
off,
were,
girl.
I have
Shake it off.
I have a 9-year-old daughter. I know all about
Oh, you must.
Swifty. Yeah.
There are some themes on this last album. She does not need us anyway.
She hasn't listened to this one yet. So.
It's very intense. I'm just gonna let you know that. I'm a 55-year-old woman, and this woman spoke to my heart when she talked about not being able to find the right person. I was like, oh my God, I was like that until I met Shane at DragonCon. So yes, Charles.
I forgot. I literally forgot what I
I
was
have
going to say.
stunned him
You did.
with
You
Taylor
Charles
Swift.
is in a
Well,
Taylor
you
Swift
put me in the
reverie.
joke mode, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, you know when
Yeah.
Hanson spoke those words, mbop, it just
Hey,
spoke to my
Mbop's
soul.
great.
You know?
That was like I love Mbop.
That is a jam. It's a really good song.
It is. They're actually really great songwriters.
So we have been at this for a hot minute tonight.
I know,
And
which
so-
makes up for our hot mess that we started off as.
It started late, and we apologize to everybody, and thank you for sticking around and waiting it out. And but
Charles,
wanna
I have
Yeah.
dates, so go ahead when you get ready. I know what we're doing for the next 3 weeks.
Awesome. I know one of the things that we talked about doing, and that's what I'd like to do. But I'm sure we'll see. So, Kevin, we'll throw it to you. What are you, in theory, most excited about for DragonCon, or hopeful? Maybe hopeful versus excited.
Well, I'm excited about like all the great stuff I'm either going to get to witness or be involved in. Obviously, it's very early. I don't know too much about what I'm doing at con. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a sitcom table read. I think we're doing a Three's
Ooh.
Company episode. We're going to try and get all the Mrs. Ropers to show up and scream the Mrs. Ropers line at once. So look out for that. I'm pretty sure that I'm DJing the MTV 120 Minutes Dance Party with my pal Chris Cummins from Archie Comics. So I'm really looking forward to that. I just found out I was going to be on a panel about the band The Cure. So I'm excited about that because I love The Cure.
Please tell me that panel's at like 11 a.m. on Monday. Come on.
I don't know when it is. And
Mondays, I'm in love. Anyway.
Monday. Yeah. So I am and obviously hopefully some other great cool stuff. I'm really DragonCon is such a blast. It's one of the most fun weekends of the year for me. So and hopefully I'll get to sit in on a digital media track panel or two as well.
Tyra, what are you most excited about or hopeful for?
Hi there, little girl. We may have a visitor in just a second. I am most excited because there's a group of women that I have a Discord channel with. There's 9 of us, and a bunch of them are coming to DragonCon for the first time. We all met through the Mandalorian fandom, and I am super excited because first off, internet friends are great friends. So are kitties. And what are you doing, child? Okay, fine. She started Prozac. I just want to say that. But I'm super excited to get to show them Dragon. Like here are the best bathrooms. Here are where the restaurants are. Here are where the tunnels are. But outside of that, I'm excited about being back with digital media again. And I'm hoping to do some more tracks on other panels because other panels bracket. You know what I'm saying? It's late. It's been a long day.
Panels on other tracks.
And I'm actually this year, I hope to spend some more time with my husband. So we love DragonCon, and I'm hoping his Mandalorian armor gets done because then I'll have Paz with me. And if you know Mandalorian fandom, you know who Paz is.
This is the way.
It is the way. Try finding. He's 6'4". He's a big boy. He used to play football, and finding cosplays that are made for him and his body type is hard. So he's going to do Pass from The Mandalorian, and he's going to do Wrecker from Bad Batch probably next year.
I'm starting to see why you're relating to Taylor so much lately.
Yeah, no. If you took Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey and smushed them, that's kind of my husband. He's super smart.
The Wish version. The Wish version.
The Wish.
Charles, yeah.
You're with me. You were with me for a split second.
I was, and then I was like, "You are."
Charles, what are you excited for?
Yeah. Besides me killing you.
Yeah. Besides your untimely death.
I have got some potential, reaching into the extra here stuff coming in for myself. Hopefully that may happen. I mean, one of the goals I have, if I pull it off, you're never ever gonna question why I'm called the Rock God of Podcasting. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And if I pull off the other thing, not as exciting for everybody, but exciting for me. So that's and I don't think I will pull it off. That's why I'm not gonna really talk about it, because I don't want anybody come back and like, oh well, yeah. But it's with the con, directly, but it's something we're working on. And if I do get to do it, and as soon as I get to talk about it, I will for sure. But Tyra, what do we got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
So I just want to say Dark Blade A said, Shane as Wrecker will be great. And he will be. I'm going to climb paths. That's all I'm saying. Okay, on May 1st. I love squeaking, Charles. It's my job. On May 1st, Charles and I, that will be next Wednesday. Charles and I will be back here. We're going to be talking about branding. We're going to brand Charles, and not in a way that's painful.
Oh.
Well, maybe. I'll see how I feel that day. On May 8th, I'm taking over the channel, Some Women of Digital. If you're out there and you're a woman in digital and you want to be on it, let me know, because I'm going to be hitting some of you up. And I've already talked to Kaz. And on May 15th, we're going to be talking about mental health. So we'll be getting together some panelists for that as well. And after that, who the hell knows?
Well, that'd be a great fit for Nick Lyle to come back. I tagged her.
True. Tonight. I don't know Nick, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, Nick was fantastic.
Well, I like Nick.
Do you not like anybody? I mean, Scott aside, anybody else?
I love Scott. How dare you?
You're right. We're on air. You're right. You love him. My bad.
Scott, don't listen. Don't listen to him.
Kevin, where can they find you on the web?
Gleamingthetube.net is where you can find links to my various podcasts and exciting things. So I would check that out. Gleaming the Tube is the skateboard movie podcast. Best Stuff in the World is about discussions of different awesome things every episode. We just did Watchmen. We have episodes coming up about The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and the text adventure games of the Infocom computer game company. So It's going to be, and the episode before Watchmen was about the immersive theater production Sleep No More. So we cast a wide net of things that I love. And that is where you can find it.
What about you, Tyra?
TyraBurton.com. And I checked it before I married him that it would be available.
That's a marketer. Wait. I can't say yes. Hold on. Let me do a quick search for all social media to make sure I can get my stuff.
Let me see what last name I'm going to keep. So, Tyra Burton. I did. And I had Tyra Mitchell. I told him when I really committed to him for the rest of my life was when I gave up TyraMitchell.com. But TyraBurton.com, and go listen to Building Bold Connections. It's the Coles College podcast from Kennesaw State University, where you can listen to me talk to business leaders in the Atlanta and surrounding areas.
You can find me linktree/RGOP42. And what we're talking about next week with branding me is we're going to rip apart some of how I've done my branding and rebranding it and getting it tighter. And we're going to do it live here on the show I'll share the screens and all that. So hopefully you can learn some things about what you can do with your branding. I think I got my link tree right, but my website, for what I want to do, I definitely need to revamp it and get it set. So we won't get too much in the weeds as far as like, all right, let me build this real quick, but we'll definitely, go through and rip it apart and get directions. And of course, we have a link tree for DC Digital Media Track, which is exactly what it is. Link tree. So that's linktr.ee/DC Digital Media Track. And that has all of our connections there.
I think I might need to update it. Just ignore me.
I always do. So thank you, Kevin, for being on the Cafferty.
Yes, Kevin, you were wonderful. Thanks for being between us.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fantastic.
And I think you're the first guest to be on twice. because you were
Oh,
on a few
right.
weeks ago with the theater kids.
All right. I did the thing with the theater kids where we
Yeah.
announced that Planet of the Apes, the musical, is the greatest fictional musical of all time.
Yeah. So Tyra, we need to keep a count on this because this is like Saturday Night Live, and I don't like handing out jackets. So we got to make sure he doesn't get to 5 in 1 year. So we'll be all right.
Yeah.
But thank you, Kevin. Thank you for being patient with us as we had some issues tonight
Yes.
and being awesome, being part of an awesome conversation, man.
And thanks to
Appreciate it.
everybody who tuned in.
Yeah, just Kevin.
Just
See, this is the issues we have.
see